to another Dawn and Julia Create. I'm quite excited about this one and slightly daunted, even though I chose the prompt. So I thought, we have been doing this challenge for years and we have had so many amazing prompts and projects and inspiration from both Dawn and I that I was like, why don't we just revisit a previous Dawn and Julia Create? So we had carte blanche to go back in time and choose a previous prompt that we had and redo it. And I thought that would be really easy, but then I couldn't decide. We've done so many amazing things that trying to choose which prompt I want just seemed impossible. So there we go. That's how the situation lies with that one. I whittled it down to 2, and I'm not sure that I'm sort of fitting my own brief, so I could end up on the naughty step. This was one of the ones I considered. So this was one of my prompts, and it was to make a canvas with like a book type thing in the middle. But the one that I'd shown Dawn had the sort of reverse canvas on the front and the back, and me trying to make it like a book, I decided to keep it solid on this, and you know, I've always sort of regretted that, so I sort of wanted to recreate that. The reason I've not chosen that is time. Always the way, I'm always running late. So instead, I'm going to work on this. So it's technically, I'm not revisiting the prompt from scratch, but Dawn asked us to make a journal from junk, which we did, and I loved, and it was to be 10 pages. And I took it as 10 literal pages, and Dawn took 10 pages and folded them in half. So she essentially had 20 and I have 10. The other thing is Dawn in the original video decorated the cover of hers, and I didn't. Sometimes I just must have picked up on the prompt wrong, and at the time I was like, I really wished I could have covered the journal, and I didn't. So that is what I'm going to do today. I am going to decorate this. I am going to try and stick as closely to the brief. The brief was to use junk, so I'm going to try to like stick to that and mostly use repurposed stuff. So stuff I've squirreled away but not necessarily built for craft. So we're going to decorate the cover of this, and I might add some more pages so I've got a similar number to Dawn. So that is what we're going to do. So without further ado, shall we just get started? The first thing I needed to do was to dismantle the current journal. So I had to get my little screwdriver out because I used ring binder fittings in order to make this particular journal. So that's the first thing you see me do, just unscrewing those, so it's really easy. So that was quite good because I was able to make the journal and then come back and revisit the cover at a later time. So it works well for that. So the first thing we need to do, obviously, is to gesso it. Gesso is just great. It's wonderful stuff. So this will add a primed surface for us to be able to work on. It also gave me a little bit of thinking time, to be honest, because at this point I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to decorate it, because every time I look at it and just see it in its brown Amazon packageness, it just needed fixed. So I did have an idea, but then I realised that that was going to cause quite a little bit of dimension on the front, so it'd be quite good to decorate the inside. So I've just taken some books from, this is an Alice in Wonderland book that I got from the charity shop for pennies, deliberately in order to use in art projects, and I'm just using a little bit of gel medium and sticking that down. Now I didn't actually do too much on the inside of the journal. I think I will revisit that at a later point, mostly because I wasn't sure on how any mediums I use might transfer onto other pages. So that will be a project for another day, but at least we've got the basis down. So once I put all the paper down, I then sort of like to blend the edges of the paper so that it all looks like one cohesive piece, by just putting a little bit of white gesso between the joins, and then I have covered the whole thing in white gesso. I then actually just let this dry and moved on to the front again. I also had to kind of put it under a pile of books. It seemed to be that it took, because of the gessos on both sides, it did warp it slightly. So this has me now got my texture paste and my ideas. So I'm putting a little bit of texture paste because it's a journal. I've gone with text, a text stencil, because I thought that would just add a nice detail. And these are some paintbrushes that I have destroyed. They have obviously been used with some form of medium, whether it be gel medium or texture paste or something, and they're like sticks. So they're no good as brushes, but they are good as an embellishment. So again, sticking with the theme of junk that Dawn originally set, I have tried not to use any purchased embellishments. So these are paintbrushes that would have gone in the bin had they not gone on an art project. Now, because I was short of time, I am gluing these down with my glue stick, but that would not last. They would ping off eventually, and this obviously will get a lot of use because I will be in and out of my journal quite a lot. So I've used the glue stick for a quick adhesion and then gel medium for a more permanent adhesion. I also had a little broken keychain with J on it, which is good for Julia but also for journal, so I went with that and then gessoed over the new embellishments. So these are one of my new favourite things. These are inks, and I love them because they go on with these little dropper doodad what's it things, and you can spray them and you get the same sort of movement as watercolour, but it doesn't dilute with water. It stays nice and bright and vibrant, which is fabulous. But also because it's ink, once it's dry it is permanent, whereas a lot of things that you work with are water soluble. So once it's dry and you start to layer on your next colour, so here I'm layering on pink. Now normally that would create mud because we've got the three primary colours together, but because the layers underneath are dry, it's going to stay pink. To be honest, we did get a few brown tones, but that's mostly because it wasn't fully dry. But I just love the possibilities that these ink give. Now, I wanted the spine black, so once the ink was drying, I've then gone in with black gesso and painted the spine. I actually struggled working with this because at the minute it's all folded out, and so the composition doesn't look right. So you are having to remember that it is all going to be folded up and think about the composition as three different areas: the front page, the back page and the flap. So there was a few times I kind of found myself having to fold it and check it. Now, I wanted these paintbrushes to still look like paintbrushes, but I wanted them the colour of the journal. So I did sort of go in and repaint the bristles back in with a brownish colour and then sort of give that traditional paintbrush stripe just at the head of the brush. And I also went in with a little bit of gold to add some gold details to the brush, but the rest of it I just left. Then I've got some gold gilding wax and I'm wanting to get that down the spine. I absolutely love using gold on repurposed packaging. There's something about the irony of stuff being junk and rubbish and stuff that should be thrown away and gold that I absolutely love, and I've loved it for years. This is Pebeo gilding wax, which is a furniture grade, so a little goes a long way, and what's really cool is you can buff it up and get a really good shine, which is what you see me doing there, and that's really helped to bring out all the details. Now obviously we want to bring that black through and frame it because it looks a bit random on its own. So I have taken the Hero Arts. The reason I went for this Hero Arts is it's hybrid ink. So as I start to use the journal, no matter what products I use, whether it be alcohol based or inks or watercolour, that ink shouldn't move, it would stay permanent. So I'm just getting all the edges because it's going to provide that frame for us to look in. Now I need to finish it off with some souffle. I have to say this souffle is on the verge of drying out. It was usable, but it's going to go very, very soon. So I think the next project I make, I am going to have to theme it to this particular souffle. But this souffle is the Emerald Galaxy, so it's got lots of golds and greens in it when it dries. So putting that in various areas, left overnight, and look at that sparkle. It's just lush. You can also see that I've damaged my table with, well, I say table, it's wallpaper that I have down to make it look nice and white and bright, but I'm obviously going to need to replace it after those splitters. So then it was a case of putting the journal back together again. So the little screwdriver comes out again, and we finish putting all the pages back in. Now this is such an open brief that there's literally years and years worth of prompts that Dawn could have picked.
So I have no idea what she will have picked. I'm very intrigued and literally cannot wait to watch her video. So please do pop across to find out what the lovely Dawn has done. I have picked out some more packaging, which I sort of measured to put into the journal, cut the holes with my crocodile and put them back in. Now I do now have the same pages as Dawn, however I'm not sure that will continue to be the case because it has really filled the rings, and I think once I start working on the pages it may not all fit in there, so we will just have to see how we go. So I hope you like this. If you'd like to see the original video, it is in the description box below, and please don't forget to pop over and see our lovely Dawn, and I will see you again next time.